How we doing, everybody? This is our Thanksgiving episode, or as Chris calls it, our Friendsgiving episode of Shorthanded Takes, a Boston Bruins podcast. This is episode 10, brought to you by Couch Guy Sports and sponsored by Shocked Energy. I am Jeff Hoke, as usual, Kevin Perdios and Chris Henrique. We have Zach, our Buffalo Sabres guy, down below here, and we have Jamie Gatlin up above, our other local Bruins guy. I'm sorry, Zach. I did not realize we were going to be just a full group of Bruins with just one Sabres guy, but it is what it is. We're going to talk a little bit about the Sabres because they do play the Sabres tomorrow or today when this podcast releases. We are brought to you by Shocked Energy, of course. Ever feel unable to focus, tired, and low on energy? We understand that feeling. We understand it so well that Shorthanded Takes, a Boston Bruins podcast, is brought to you by the Couch Guy Sports Network and sponsored by our friends at Shocked Energy. Head over to www.shockedenergy.com and use the promo code CGSN today for 10% off your next order. That's CGSN for 10% off your next order. Before we get into the Sabres, though, I do want to dive in a little bit before we get into our big thanks Friendsgiving aspect of this. I want to dive in a little bit to the Bruins over the weekend. Chris's hot take on Sunday obviously was 6-2 loss to the Calgary Flames. It was close. It was 4-0 at the hands of a Dan Vladar shutout. But first things first, I'm going to go over to Kevin and talk about the Flyers win really quick. That was a positive win for the Bruins. They looked pretty well in that win, 5-2, and that was in Philadelphia.
Yeah, it was a good win. A game you should have won, obviously. A good analogy I would use is during the Monday Night Football game last night, they kept saying this was a get right game for Tampa, right? You're kind of reeling. You kind of need to just kind of get out and get some game action in against a team you have no business losing to. That's the same for the Flyers, I think. The Bruins haven't been playing great, but it should have been a game that we kind of, all right, let's get our feet back under us, and hopefully it carries over to Calgary. As we know now, it didn't. But overall, we'll Chris, what are you wearing? That just threw me so off. Oh, I'm sorry, guys.
You didn't see the gold jacket at the episode?
So overall, it's a good game. You got to win those games. The Flyers they're reeling right now. They're kind of a shitbag team. So we'll leave it at that. As we 2 points and get out.
As we speak, they're losing 4-0 right now to the Tampa Bay Lightning. Carter Hart is in goal. Jamie, I'll go up to you for a second. Derek Forbort has been on a absolute hot tear, as we all expected, of course, a goal-scoring machine early on. What's your take on him? Obviously, he's not going to keep it up for long, but it's a good sign for that offense.
I like he's a little sniper now. He's a little sniper action we got there. I like it. I question the signing just because, they put him on the first line, which I don't think he belongs on the first pairing. But, they needed offense from the defense. Other than McAvoy, the defenseman hadn't, been scoring or pretty much been the stat sheet. So you love to see a guy like him kind of stepping up and getting that scoring going.
Chris, we'll go down to you before we talk the upcoming game against the Sabres. Talk about the Calgary Flames game. Darth Vladar was in goal, obviously. Posted a shutout, 4-0. Swayman was left out to dry by the team. As usual, there was a 2-on-0, advantage, but, left him out to dry. Just talk about that 4-0 loss. It kind of looms larger than most of us think, I feel.
I don't know. I mean, I look at it like this. First off, McAvoy wasn't really good that game. He was a -3 for the game. And I think a lot of the Bruins fans, from looking at social media, they were taken back that Vladar was the guy that posted the shutout, and it was the your typical why we can't have guys like that with the Boston Bruins. Just give me a break. Florida had a good game. Calgary was a lot, they were more dominant on the ice. Offensively, they looked a lot better. Defensively, they I don't know, just they seemed like they hustled better on defense. And they just had a stranglehold on the Bruins the whole game. The Bruins really couldn't get much going. Johnny Gaudreau, I want him to score 2 goals. I said that in my prediction, but he ended up doing that. But overall, the Calgary Flames look like the better team. And again, I still think that the Bruins play is a byproduct of their schedule, that they can't get that momentum going. And I think once finally this stupid schedule that they're playing starts to break up and they have a consistent schedule, we'll be able to evaluate and say, hey, this is what the Bruins are. So Vladar had a great game. Swayman didn't, but I also think that his defense hung him out to dry all game, and obviously his offense is non-existent.
No, that's very true. And the only way you can do that is to bounce back. And they played on Sunday against Calgary. Now they play when this video posts, it will be Wednesday, so the day of the game in Buffalo against the Buffalo Sabres. And that's why we have a resident Buffalo Sabres guy, Zach, here to talk about it a little bit. Now, Zach, obviously Buffalo's been on a little bit of slide lately, hoping to bounce back. What have you seen that has changed from the beginning of the season to now?
I would say not even from the beginning of the season. I would just say from like the last 10 years. This team is competing, and it's a nice sight to see, because you go back to I know you asked about the previous few games, but really it's just standing out to me. This team is competing. Under Ralph Kruger and all that, they would lose 3 or 4 to 1 right now. They would give up 4 goals and they wouldn't play. But now under Don Granado, they are playing to win the game. And that's all I asked for this team this year. I didn't expect this team to be good, not even average. I knew it was going to be another rough year, and the writing's on the wall with that, obviously. But you see the competitiveness in this team, man. It's such a nice sight to see, because like I said, they were facing the Toronto Maple Leafs last weekend. They were losing 3-1. I know they lost in the third period, but they came back and tied it. And then again against the Columbus Blue Jackets just recently, yesterday. They lost, yes, but they were showing they were down 5-2, and they made it 5-4 at one point. So just to answer your question, it's just willing to play the game, because we all know how bad the Sabres have been the last decade. I'm not sure how much you guys have seen them other than when they're playing the Bruins, but even when they were playing the Bruins, when the Bruins were out in front, they would never look back. They would just roll over the Sabres. But now I know we faced you guys earlier in the year and we didn't really score on Linus, but even that game, I think you guys agree with me. They showed some fight in what the Buffalo did, and it didn't lead to anything. But that's just the biggest thing, is seeing this team compete night in, night out. It's really refreshing to see.
Yeah, so Zach, I wrote something on Couch Guy a couple of weeks back where I basically said that the Buffalo Sabres front office was a complete shit show. And, obviously that was tongue in cheek, but I also think that, I think a lot of Sabres fans would probably somewhat agree, though, a little bit, that the front office has been a shit show. I know that they've made a lot of moves and they brought in a lot of younger players, and there's a lot to be optimistic for in Buffalo, really, for the first time in a long time. So I guess with that being said, obviously you've seen a couple of players leave Buffalo, Taylor Hall, and then Ullmark come to Boston. What's what's your true feeling on how you're, the way you're looking at this Buffalo Sabres team? Are you truly optimistic? Do you think that they're bringing in the right players to usher in, the potential next Buffalo Sabres team that can actually be competitive in the National Hockey League?
Yes, I'm very convinced that this is, I know you can say this team has been rebuilding for the last 10 years, and it's true, they have been rebuilding, but it seems like Kevin Adams is doing it the right way this time. He wants to bring in the players that want to be here. And I know it's a cliche, no one to play in Buffalo. I get that. I hear it every single day as a Sabres fan, but some players do want to play here. Alex Stuck, he was a Sabres fan growing up. He was more than excited to be here in the Eichel trade. You just want these players there, and Kevin Adams, to his credit, is doing a good job after starting out rough. I did not like that Taylor Hall trade at all, one bit. Like, you're trading away a former MVP to your divisional rival, nonetheless, and you get back a third and fourth liner and a second round pick when the same day I think they got Nick Foligno for a first round pick. Like, that just doesn't make sense. Like, why would you do that? But then again, but you know what? I was a little salty about Hall leaving, but then again, I knew he was going to do good with you guys because let's face it, Buffalo Sabres, Boston Bruins. It's pretty self-explanatory.
I think it makes it easier with Hall leaving though, because it was a free agent signing. He was there for half a season. I think if Hall was there and either he was drafted or let's say he was there for like 5-6 years, it'd be a different conversation. I think that fans would be a little more upset. I think the fact that, for me anyway, like you have Hall, here's a player you gave $8 million to, it was something like that, right? $8 million and change.
Yeah, 1 year, $8 million deal it was. Yeah,
you bring him in, you expect offense, you expect him to produce, and he didn't do that in Buffalo. And then he obviously left there, came to Boston, and was somewhat instrumental in them in that small window from the trade deadline to the NHL postseason where he was somewhat productive. Even besides that, I think that the fact that people aren't really talking a lot about was Curtis LAZAR. I mean, he was hurt when he was traded from Buffalo, comes to Boston. I think he has an opportunity where once that kid's healthy, he can kind of stabilize that bottom six that the Bruins are really looking to try to stabilize within their lineup. If you can maybe give some Bruins fans from a Sabres perspective on LAZAR.
Yeah, I mean, before I talk about LAZAR, it's kind of like I really think that's what they're trying to do with Bjork here. The other part that came over for the Hall deal, I think that because let's face it, he wasn't getting a fair shot in Boston because there's just too much depth there. Like, there's just too much like talent in that team. And so for LAZAR, I liked him a lot. Like the year before COVID hit that season, he was a really good player, like a bottom six player to have on your team. He can throw the body around, he can score here and there. So, and now that you have him on a team like Boston, I'm not sure who he'd be playing with, but maybe you guys can answer that question in a little bit here. But if you like play him with I don't know, like a Coyle maybe or a Foligno, I think that might be a good fit for him in Boston. And he's on a well-coached team. I have lots of respect for Bruce Cassidy. As much as it pains me to say it because he's a Boston guy, I respect him because he's a good coach, and I would definitely want to play for him. So I would say that LAZAR is going to be a solid player, especially on a good team like Boston when he's healthy. I'm not sure when he's coming back, but
now it does appear that Linus will be in goal tomorrow for the Bruins.
Oh, great.
That from what the lines say today, obviously that can change tomorrow. What is the, just break it down for us for a second. What is the game plan to beat this Bruins team and get back in the win column?
It's got to start shooting the pucks more. I mean, I know it's a cliche, shoot the puck and good things are going to happen, but like, and especially with Linus in that, they know his tendencies and his weaknesses. Like, you need to, I wouldn't say get him moving because, well, he's a big guy, so it makes him hard to move. But even last year, like, I'm not sure how he looks in Boston this year because I don't watch him. I was him more now that he's now with the Sabres. So I feel like if you just get him moving around a little bit, I don't know. I really didn't notice other than like when he was like on the ground, like on the ice, like sprawling out, like it takes him a while to like get back up because he's such a big dude. But I feel like I don't know, just try to stack some pressure up. I mean, it's gonna be hard to do, especially against Pastrnak, Marchand, Bergeron, and then Hall and whoever he has on his line. So they just gotta play their game. I'm not sure if you guys saw the Penguins game or heard about it, but Sabres took a 2-0 lead in the second period against Pittsburgh. Okay, great. Third period happened. And I'm not going to lie when I say this, guys. Sabres had like 3 shots all period in the third period, and Pittsburgh had 20 shots on goal in that period alone. And they outshot Sabres like 45-19 in the game. So they cannot do that against the Boston Bruins team because it's not going to be a 2-1 win. It's going to be a 5-0 win, if anything. So
I'll follow this one up on something you touched on a little bit earlier. Now, obviously on the surface, the answer is no, it doesn't. But could you see a side? Do you think the Sabres trading Eichel actually makes them better? And why I say this is similar to, I believe, on the surface, the Mookie, we're crossing path sports here, which is a huge theme. Mookie Betts getting traded is kind of like, all right, obviously you're not going to be a better team, but the pieces that we came in were an overall better team. We're allowing more guys to kind of develop and play, instead of, all right, we have one superstar in, right field, we have 3 or 4 solid guys throughout the lineup.
Yeah.
Having a guy like Eichel in the off-ice disputes that he had with ownership and whatever, does this now kind of take that distraction out of the clubhouse and would in turn make you guys an overall better team going forward?
Believe it or not, I think it does. And let me tell you why. Yes, don't get me wrong, it sucks losing Jack Eichel. I don't think any team who trades Jack Eichel is going to be happy about moving an elite player, a top 5 player when he's healthy in the NHL. But you know what? Like, I heard he had an interview and with Elliot Free, I'm not sure if you guys saw it or not, but he said like they were trying to rebuild again in 2020 and he wanted out. And you know what? I can't blame him because he was supposed to be part of the first rebuild back in 2014, 2015, and obviously it didn't go so well for us. So like I said, I touched on this earlier, and I keep on bringing this back up. Out with the old and with the new. So you're getting rid of, man, it sucks to lose these guys, but Eichel, Reinhart, and Linus. Okay, there's 3 of your key pieces right there. Your cornerstones of your franchise, all gone now. So you're bringing in Alex Tuck, who, when he's healthy, a pretty solid player, a first and second line guy. And I'm paying Krebs, who's doing a great job in the AHL right now. So let's be honest. I don't think anyone can replace Jack Eichel on his team. His skill set alone, because those are pretty big shoes to fill. You touched on Mookie. Like, Verdugo's a solid player, but he's no Mookie Betts. Right. I think we could all agree on that. So, yes, you're getting rid of an elite player, but at the same time, you're getting back a pretty good player in return. And you just want to build a new foundation. Like I said, I think this is a rebuild 2.0 for Calvin Adams because he wants to get it right. Because watching his team the last 10 years, the management has screwed us over so many times. Like, Chris, I know you wrote your article about this current regime right now, but if you were wrote about the last few regimes, I would agree with you 100%. I'm with you there. So, yes, to answer your question, yes, I do think it makes us better going forward.
So, like, really quick, hang on really quick. So I got and it's fine. I don't really, it's what it is. I actually enjoy when the Facebook world and or the Twitter world or wherever I share content kind of goes at me. But I got to tell you what, Sabres Facebook world was pissed that I basically called out that front office. I had this one guy that direct messaged me on Facebook, and he detailed out every single friggin' prospect that the Sabres have, talking about how they're on the up and the come. And I'm like, dude, like, I get it. I understand. But you have to understand as well, first off, on the outside looking in, the Buffalo Sabres have been a train wreck. So, again, I don't call myself a Sabres expert whatsoever. You know what I mean? I'm not going to do that. I think that you do a really good job, and with your content that you produce on the Couch Guy website, you do a really good job breaking that stuff down. And I think it's a big reason why that CGS has a really good Buffalo following in general. But with that, if you kind of just, broad brush it, Buffalo has struggled to maintain, that foundation where they're trying to build, at least from the casual. Now, I think what made it hard for a lot of people to kind of digest that trade was the fact that there was that rumored Calgary trade, that was days before that deal happened. And
I wanted that trade.
That Calgary trade was the actual, let's just say that was legit. If you had to choose between the two, obviously, like, you want to take that Calgary move. Like, I think the Calgary move makes you better. I think a lot of people don't understand that Alex Tuck, yeah, he is a good player. But I think, if you look at it on the surface, again, that casual hockey fan, because that's a lot of who is going to gravitate towards these moves. They're going to look at that Sabres return and say, Well, again, the Sabres, they didn't make out the way they probably should have. And I kind of give you credit because, you broke down your article. And if you guys, for the people who are going to listen, go to the Couch Guy website, look up Zach's article. He breaks down each player that was traded. You kind of detail as to why those guys were important to that deal. But do you really think, though, like long term, that, like what is Alex Tuch's like true ceiling, I guess, for the Sabres?
So if they build around him correctly, I could see him scoring 25 goals a year, maybe. Especially, I know you touch on like the farm system, and if these guys like pan out in the American League, so you got American Hockey League, you got Jack Quinn, you have there's so many guys down there, JJ Peterka, like these guys who are a bunch of like who came in the league as no names, but now they're starting to get rep for themselves, and now you add Payne Krebs to that mix, and like, hey, these guys have a nice foundation going forward. So I really feel like, Chris, like why this team was so bad developing is because they were just throwing them into the fire. Like they didn't let them develop, because I don't think that you want, obviously Jack Eichel is a talent who's ready to play. Like we all know he doesn't need any American League time or whatever whatsoever. But you're throwing these poor players in who are 18, 19 years old, and you're just throwing them in the fire. Like, hey, go play a hockey and try to get results. So trying to think. Yeah, but for Tuch though, like if he has a talent around him, I think he'd be a captain for the Sabres going forward. And you look at who they have right now. You have Dylan Cousins, Casey Middlestat, Tage Thompson, who is the team's MVP this year. And on the defensive side, I forgot to throw in Jeff Skinner and Victor Olofsson too. Like you have those guys there. And on defense, you have Rasmus Dahlin and Henry Jokiharju. You have Owen Power now in the system. You just want to, if you can like stack these guys up and not rush them, I think you're in good shape, especially if they live up to their potential. I know it's not guaranteed that they're going to be stars in this league. It's a hard league to play in. But if you do it the right way, then this team can be a contender in 5 to 10 years. As crazy as it sounds, and I know how bad the Sabres have been the last decade. I've seen it firsthand. Like, it's been brutal. Even last year, it was probably the worst year of Sabres hockey for the last 10 years I've ever seen. And that's with Jack Eichel, Taylor Hall, Jeff Skinner, Victor Olofsson, et cetera, et cetera. So that's my opinion on Tuch. And I think Krebs is going to be, again, if he lives up to expectations, he can be a 30-goal scorer in this league. I really do.
So, Zach, before we move on to our next segment, and I got to ask Jamie a question too. You have a new podcast coming out for CGS, just announced on Twitter. Just give us a little bit of a rundown of what that's going to be and what you plan on talking about. And I know it's Buffalo based, and I just go ahead and give yourself a little airtime for your new podcast coming up.
So I actually recorded my first episode today. You can go check it out. You can go follow the Twitter account. It's at BUF Sports Pod, and it's just called the Buffalo Sports Podcast. So obviously you guys know I was a writer for like the last year and a half or whatever, and I wanted to do podcasting again. And especially with me having a new job now, I thought, like, well, I'm not sure when my days are going to be, so why not just do a podcast and I can release it once a week, every single week. So it's pretty much just like about the Bills and Sabres. Today's episode was the concerns about the Bills going forward, and then a little about Thursday against the Saints. And then the Sabres, just my thoughts on the season so far. So you go check it out, BUF Sports Podcast. BFLL Sports Podcast. Sorry about that. And just like I said, it's going to be about the Bills, Sabres, here and there about the Bandits, the lacrosse team here in Buffalo. And it's going to be 50% about me, or just me. And then, like, let's say if the Sabres are playing the Bruins, I have one of you guys on, then that'll be the other 50% as a guest. So yeah, go check it out there. Like I said, I already have a new episode, so give it a listen. And yeah, that's that.
And we will have that. We will tag your page when we post this on Twitter, so you can go find it right there. Jamie, I'm going to toss to you for a second here. I know Kevin has a question for you as well. Lines came out today for the Bruins practice, and it seems that Bruce Cassidy wants to switch it up a little bit. Matt Grzelcyk is now going to be on that front defensive pair with Charlie McAvoy. and moving, I believe it's Forbort down to that second defensive pair. Do you think this can get Grizzly going? Finally, he has been non-existent to start the season, to say the least.
Yeah, I mean, they need him to, especially on the power play, on that second unit. But I've been impressed with Jezioro a lot lately. He's really stood out to me. I kind of want to see him on the top line alongside McAvoy. But I think he's helped the defense out a lot, and having him and Grizzly in there, I like it a lot.
Kevin?
All right. I'm going to be the guy. I'm going to be
boy.
the guy that does it. That
Oh,
just
boy.
fires Chris up right now because he already kind of poked the bear. All right. So, in hindsight, take yourself back to the summer when Vladar walked. What did you think? Well, just basic. What were your thoughts on him leaving?
No answer.
No answer, right? All right. But
Oh,
that's
he just
fine.
quit out.
So Chris left, and that's exactly what I wanted. That's exactly what I wanted to accomplish. All right. I just wanted Chris to get off the screen for a minute, just see how badly I could, get under his skin.
Perfect.
But in I guess in this kind of feeds into a different question I'm gonna ask. You knew what Tuukka Rask was, right? You knew he was battling through some injury. Obviously we come out and find he has the torn labrum. It kind of gets the ball rolling. Well, if he's out, what's our depth like? So we go out and spend $5 million on a goalie. Now that we know it's kind of What's your overall take on this goaltending situation, period? Because we've let a lot of, I don't want to say good, we've let a lot of quality goaltenders walk in the last three years, I would say.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like with them, Swayman really, I don't want to say messed up their plans, but they had to look differently at their depth, especially having both Vladar and him played last year. I mean, I would have had Tuukka, and you put Vladar in Providence, but then you have Kaiser also, who's really good, been really good the past year. So they're in a tough spot. I get why they did it. And I feel like Sweeney kind of was in a no-win situation with keeping both of them, with the possibility of Rask coming back, within the next 2 months.
So I got to ask.
Oh, boy. Buckle up.
Quality. Tuukka Rask was quality in the last 3. Are you referring to like Halak? Like, are we saying Halak was quality? We let Halak walk?
No, you had I would this year, even for Calgary, go look up Vladar's stats. He's playing pretty well. I don't think he's a good goalie. Like I think this is all talking hindsight. Anyone can play well for 5 games. That's kind of my point. But you have Vladar. Hold on. Vladar. Then you have who's a kid in St. Louis, not St. Louis, San Jose that helped them get to the Stanley Cup.
Martin Jones?
Yeah.
Martin Jones was here. He was with the Bruins. I know we pulled him in from somewhere else, but Martin Jones was here. And then there's one more young goalie. Again, no one, this isn't like we got the next Tuukka Rask, but this is more of a, all right, he can get the job done as a backup, right? Like if you're going to go and spend $5 million on a goalie and then flip the script, it's, well, this Swayman, if you're in a 1-game playoff, who do you want in net right now at the moment? That's kind of, I don't know. I think I'm going Swayman, but I think you just spent $5 million on a goalie, and it's tough to be like, well, this kid that we're paying $500,000 to is going to start in the playoffs versus the guy we just paid $5 million to, whereas Vladar's getting paid less than $1 million as well. It's kind of all in hindsight. You don't know what you know. in the moment. And like you said, you got to do what is best and what you think is best, and what they got in return for Vladar in that
They got a 3rd round pick.
yeah, is a good move. Like, you have to do that move at the time.
Yeah.
But so this is all talking in hindsight, and all I understand that, but interesting. It's interesting to look back on it just to kind of get Chris a little riled up. Let's see where he goes with this.
I guess I look at it like this, right? So like Vladar, right? So he had a good game against the Bruins. So, and of course he would shut out the Bruins. And of course, numerous Bruins fans are all like, well, that was the guy. Why do we trade the guy? Like, first off, stop. Vladar is, if he was a starting goaltender in the NHL, he would be starting for the Calgary Flames. He's not a starting goaltender. He's a backup goaltender. Bruins maximize his value. They got a 3rd round pick back for Vladar. I don't think you could have gone into this season with 2 inexperienced goaltenders. I think that would have been negligent on Sweeney's part. Now, having said that, I did challenge a few episodes back when we recorded saying whether or not the Bruins should have paid Ullmark the money that they're paying him. I think that they still are overpaying Ullmark. I don't agree they should be paying him the money that they're paying him. And I guess part of it is what we saw with Buffalo, but Boston wants to pay for what the possibility of what Ullmark can be. So I guess I can respect that. I still don't want to understand that. So from the Vladar standpoint, he had a good game. Great. Love you. Don't mean it. Fantastic. You shut out the Bruins. Awesome. But I guarantee that the Bruins were to play Calgary again, let's just call it next week, and Vladar was in net, Brad Marchand would light him up. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to get all wound up over Dan Vladar. Like, if he was going to be anything, the Bruins would not have dangled him out there. He would still be within the organization. He would still be with the Bruins, and we wouldn't be having this conversation. I still don't agree with the fact that Don Sweeney's paying Ullmark the money he's paying him, but
so let me follow up again. And this is an open-ended question to all of you guys, right? We know our goaltending situation. Tuukka's working out. It's a much easier move if all of a sudden, well, we're paying 2 goaltenders, less than $1.5 million. Tuukka Rask's healthy. All right, one of you guys get lost. That's a lot easier than, all right, we have a young kid that's playing really well. It's probably our number 1 goalie, but we also just paid this guy $5 million. Kind of got to play him. But we also have a goalie that, if healthy, and if he bounces back, should step into this lineup and be better than both of them, right? Like Tuukka, I truly believe, and I'll go on the record 100 times out of 100 and say I'm probably the biggest Tuukka basher because of what he's able to do. I hold him to a higher standard, and Bruins fans don't get that, I don't think, because when he sucks, it's not saying he's a terrible goalie. It's, dude, you're held to an elite category. You didn't play to an elite category, so you suck in the quality of elite categories. But if I had 2 young guys and I in the back of my mind, I wanted Tuukka to take a chance at coming back, that's a lot easier move. That is a lot easier move. That's kind of where I'm at. And again, it's all in hindsight. I understand that, but I digress.
That's something real fast.
Yeah, go right ahead.
No, I just want to say that's a good point about paying. I mean, I know my opinion doesn't matter because I'm not a Bruins fan.
Well, you had him. It matters. The goalie. Like, you know what we know now, right? Because what we thought and what I thought even coming in was, dude, we're getting a pretty solid goalie. He was 500 in Buffalo. If you're 500 in Buffalo, you must be doing something right.
Yeah. So, like, that's a tough question to answer because, let's start with Swayman. He's this young guy who, you pretty much nailed it, Kevin, is the assumed starter right now, the pre-assumed starter, and for good reason. He's a solid goalie, and did he play in the playoffs last year, though? Or was
there was a push. Everyone was trying to push that he started.
No, Vladar got in and got shelled.
Yeah,
Oh,
he let 5 goals in, and yeah.
That's the thing. Like, you have the starter who has not a lot of experience in the playoffs, but some experience. So, and that's a tough question. But you're also, again, paying this guy who is making $5 million a year. And you have a little bit of a situation in your hands now. And if you do bring back Rask, who's the odd man out? You have a guy who has a young upcoming guy who has playoff experience and has shown that he could be a starter in this league. Or you have a guy who's making $5 million and doesn't have any playoff experience whatsoever. But again, he's capable of starting NHL. So I don't know. That's a tough thing. Like, do you get what I'm saying though? Like, you want to play a guy making $5 million who never really has played into a big game in his life with his old team, or you're playing a guy who has some playoff experience but not a lot. And it's just a tough question to start. Like, who do you start? You can have a split the reps, but again, you ask that question: who are you playing in a big game when it's either do or die?
Right now, if it's a big game, I'm playing Swayman. But if you look at kind of the way both these guys have played, I mean, Ullmark is starting to play his way into the conversation of maybe playing into a big game as well. You know, I love the upside that Ullmark brings to the Bruins. I fucking hate the $5 million tag, like the money that he's owed. Like, to me, I really think that I try to follow a lot of the offseason rumors and a lot of what these guys are going to get, and there was really nothing out there that's saying that Ullmark was going to get $5 million per. I feel like the Bruins overpaid him. I feel like the Bruins could have got him at 3.5. But I mean, on the flip side, I guess I can go and argue to myself and say, well, if you would offer him 3.5, Buffalo would 100% pay him $3.5 million per to bring him back. So I guess I understand that you have to overpay him. The Bruins have such a gaping hole on defense right now. Their defense is just, if we go back to last week, it's baby shit. Their defense sucks right now. There is zero depth. And I think it's one of the byproducts why this team's struggling right now. To whereas, again, if you were paying Ullmark less money and you could have taken a portion of those dollars to go get another defenseman to help out someone better than Forbort, maybe, for example, are the Bruins in the predicament they are right now? Is their record where they're at right now? Is this team playing better hockey? I guess that question goes out to all you guys.
I think it's hindsight, like, I think that, again, that's kind of what I'm getting at. You now all of a sudden have money. If you, instead of $5 million to Ullmark, what if you paid him 3, like you said, a 3.5? Buffalo matches it, but so what? Knowing what you know now, so what? I did have one more question, very quick, for Jamie. It's gonna be a yes or no. Do you trust Cassidy to? All right, hey, we're in Game 7.
I do.
You have the tag. Ownership obviously is like, shit, man. We just paid this dude. What you do sends a clear message to the entire fan base. Do you trust him to be Swayman? Go ahead.
Yeah, I would trust him.
Yeah, me too. I agree, and that's why I think Cassidy's the coach for this team. And people shit on him, but I like him.
So with that being said, we need to get going to our Friendsgiving aspect of this, because this was a big thing Chris wanted in this podcast today, and we're going to put it in this podcast today.
Yeah, I like Thanksgiving. I think it's a good time.
So before we do that,
Thanksgiving is important. You get friends together. You have conversation. You have meal, good cocktails. When you're a kid, Thanksgiving is what it is. It's Christmas, all what it is. As an adult, Thanksgiving overtakes Christmas.
So before we get to any of those hot takes, and we will get to hot takes later at the end of this podcast too, but that has to do with your respective hockey teams. Head over to, once again, shockedenergy.com and use promo code CGSN today for 10% off your order. Also, we are sponsored by Exogun. Don't want to forget to use that one. Exogun, great tool to help any of your tightened muscles. I know a lot of the Bruins players use it, and I've heard great things about it. With that being said, though, I want to dive into some different aspects of Thanksgiving here. We've all seen, I'm sure by now, the Matthew Judon, press conference saying, he's not a mac and cheese fan, on Thanksgiving. I don't agree with it, but I still gotta love the guy because he has 10 and a half sacks with the Patriots, and I can't complain. That being said, I'm gonna start with Jamie. I'll say mine first, and I'm gonna head to Jamie next. Your favorite side when it comes to Thanksgiving, and I'm gonna go underrated side. I'm gonna go the roll. Not a lot of people give enough love to the yeast rolls at Thanksgiving. I feel like it's like the Texas Roadhouse rolls. You could eat 20 of them and you'd still be going at that turkey. And if you really want to, you can make a turkey sandwich with it in the middle of your Thanksgiving. Slap some gravy on there, call it a day.
Jeff, stop making me hungry. Right?
Yeah, seriously.
I'm just getting you guys hyped up for the holiday season.
Yeah, but I'm starving now. So what the heck?
Well, you can go cook yourself a turkey down the hall. There you go. I don't know where your
I'm doing a
kitchen is.
podcast right now. I can't do that, sir.
Jamie, give me your underrated side to start with.
Probably stuffing. I'm a big stuffing guy. Just pile that on with some gravy. That'll get me going on Thursday.
What about you, Zach?
I'm not a big side guy, to be honest with you. I just like my turkey. That's a hot take.
That's fine.
But,
you can be a turkey fan.
I like having the rolls, like you said, and I'm a huge fan of salad too. That's a nice little side dish right there. It's a not popular one, I'm sure, but like I said, I'm not a big, stuffing, cranberry, everything else guy. And I agree with Matthew Judon, by the way. I don't like mac and cheese, so.
Oof.
Mac and cheese does not belong on the Thanksgiving table.
I
Mac
agree.
and cheese is like, when I think of mac and cheese, right?
Think of barbecues.
100% barbecue. I've never made a homemade mac and cheese. Like, if I'm thinking mac and cheese, I got one of two things. The TikTok recipes of what you can make for barbecues or fucking Kraft mac and cheese. Those are the only two that I'm thinking about. And if you're going to put one of those two on my table for Thanksgiving, you're out.
Kevin, give me your underrated side.
Underrated? Oh man. Underrated. I don't even know if it's underrated but I love it. And I could eat a whole can of it if you ask.
Don't say it.
Cranberry sauce is 100%.
Cranberry sauce with the rivets on the side.
Oh, yes.
God, no.
It's dude. That's gas. In side note to Chris, I agree. It doesn't belong on the table, especially at Thanksgiving. I agree with that. But homemade mac and cheese, that's some good stuff right there, man. That's some good stuff. But cranberry sauce, everyone sleeps on, I think. Judging by Jeff's reaction.
That's
so good.
I'll get to that in a second. Chris, give me your underrated.
All right, so I love stuffing, and here's the thing with stuffing though, because I'm here in southeastern Massachusetts, and where I'm at is a very it's a highly Portuguese populated area, so they'll throw chorizo, which is a Portuguese pork sausage in their stuffing. And let me tell you what, you want to talk about whatever name you want to put it on there, it is so good. Matter of fact, I bought a double box of stovetop stuffing today because I don't use real bread. Fuck that. I don't do that. I went and took that 9:30 this morning, woke up, was brewing a coffee in the cold brew. I mean on the Keurig. I was going to do cold brew, but I did the other side of it. I made stuffing, threw that inside there. Phenomenal. I've snacked on it all day. I love that. But underrated for me, one of the things that we do at my house with my parents is just very simple. We do just a noodle with broccoli, olive oil, some onions, mix that around. Very simple, just a broccoli and noodles together. I take that, I throw it with the stuffing, the turkey. I prefer dark meat, by the way. When it comes to turkey, I'm a dark meat kind of guy. And a little bit of gravy on the top there, and we're all set. I like me some dark meat. Turkey, though.
Well, that just answered all my questions. So I will say, I want to get to overrated here for a second. I could go two ways. I could go the cranberry sauce way. I could go that way, but I feel like that's too cliche. I'm gonna go hot take, and I don't do hot takes on here. You know this. I leave it to Chris and Kevin. I'm going to go a hot take on this one. I'm going to say pie is overrated. I'm going to say.
So I don't do desserts. I am not.
Oh, you don't?
Guy, but for Thanksgiving, I will fuck with a pumpkin pie. Like that is my shit. I will have pumpkin pie, a nice cup of coffee, take a nap, because then I work in like hours after that. So
I will say I will eat apple pie if I have to.
Yeah.
Other than that, I'm not a huge pie fan. I'll eat chocolate pie too, but I'm not a huge pie fan. I'm not a huge graham cracker delight kind of pie.
do you garnish your pie though? Do you do a little like
I don't know. I don't even make the pie.
Cream.
My mother makes the pie, dude.
no?
I show up to my house and everything's made, and I just watch football and eat food, take a nap, call it
Watch
a day.
football and sleep. That's all. Watch football, drink, and sleep. That's about it.
Sounds
man.
like a good time.
Oh,
yeah,
man.
right.
I don't know what is my Tuesday night.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. So with that being said, I want to move on to what your favorite Thanksgiving tradition is. And before I toss to Zach, I'm gonna say mine is obviously I have 3 F's to Thanksgiving: food, family, and obviously football. I will watch football all day. I am not a crowd kind of guy. When we have 10 people over at my house for Thanksgiving, I will go downstairs and just watch football until dinner's ready. And I will take a nap in between. I'll probably take a nap during the Lions and Chicago Bears game, because why would you want to watch that?
Fans, don't worry about it. You'll also something in common.
So I will watch football, and that is my huge tradition every year. Obviously, spend time with my family. It's one of things like Chris. Thanksgiving is probably one of my favorite holidays. It's a day where I can eat as much food as I want and not feel bad about myself at the end of it. As even though I do that anyway, but this is where I can not feel bad about myself eating too much food. Zach, what is your favorite Thanksgiving tradition?
Football.
Football?
Football, man. All for football.
You
Give
got
me
Bills
something
on
to do.
this Thursday too, so you'll be.
Oh yeah, I can't wait to be stressed out for that one again. Yay. Can't wait. Next, well, wake up. I'm gonna go to a ice rink because I started playing hockey again, started skating that morning, Thursday morning. And then it's gonna be time to be stressed out for the next 8 hours on Thanksgiving, because yes, I had to wait all freaking day for my team to play. And I hate it. Like, I don't want to watch the Detroit Lions take on Chicago Bears.
Or you don't want to watch a Dallas Cowboys take on the Oakland Raiders.
Can we just like forfeit the Lions play on Thanksgiving, please, and have someone else play?
Man, that's a whole nother Thanksgiving.
That was gonna be like my hot take.
Your
Oh,
overrated
sorry.
hot
Hey,
take that
the
we need to drop.
NFL, the NFL is like completely dropping the ball on the Thanksgiving game, and it's because they involve the Lions every goddamn year. In every goddamn year, they are so bad that game you stop watching after the first quarter. They're missing it. They're just good job, Goodell. You suck again.
Just turn on the parade. Just call it a day.
I feel bad for Joe Buck and Troy Aikman. They have to call that game. I mean,
have fun.
Exactly. Chris, what is your Thanksgiving tradition?
Again, like now that I've gotten older, it really is just spending time with family, to be honest with you. The football piece is an added bonus. The really good food is an added bonus. You go back, in my I guess mid-20s, when you're up for Thanksgiving, it's a day off from work. And now it's about just having a good meal and just being around like the people that that's important to you. And I think that that's ultimately what's important when it comes to Thanksgiving. And I guess one of the things I will say as you guys get older, I feel like I'm fucking 50 as I'm saying this, right? But as you guys get older, you'll definitely start to see a lot of that. You know what I mean? It's just about being around people that love, you care about, all that other fancy shit. But football is important on Thanksgiving. I'm hoping that the Buffalo Bills lose because the New England Patriots are in first place in the AFC East. Believe it or not, I don't know if you heard about that. It was huge news all over like ESPN.
Oh yeah, I saw from all your Twitter accounts the other day. Oh, we're in first place. Yeah, oh my
Yeah.
god.
Yeah,
please shut up.
Buffalo kind of
Mac
stinks.
Mac Jones is leading the New England Patriots. The New England Patriots are the most dangerous team in the AFC. I don't know if anybody like knows this.
Hey,
Right?
I said be nice on here. I didn't say we were going to talk too much football here, guys.
Thank God.
The Patriots are the most dangerous team in the AFC. I look forward to be honest with you, when the Patriots and the Bills do play, it is going to be like the rubber meets the road when that matchup happens, because I generally do think that the winner of that game controls the destiny of the remainder of the AFC playoffs with that number 1 seed. If New England wins this week, if New England beats the Titans this week, and obviously they elevate themselves further in the playoffs, if they defeat the Buffalo Bills, you're one up in that column with the W against Buffalo, and I think you control your destiny in that point. And the Patriots, like, again, all Homer Patriotsness aside, like, they are playing really good football, and they are the team to beat right now in the AFC. Buffalo is sputtering for whatever reason, and I'm sure they're going to figure that out. But they're
hope so.
sputtering. The Chiefs, I'm going to be honest, I just don't have the confidence of the Chiefs. Like, Patrick Mahomes has not looked good all year. Their passing game is poor. I think the Patriots would shut down their running game. Beyond that, like, are you afraid of the Steelers? Like Ben Roethlisberger? No, get out of here. Like, who else in the AFC are you afraid of? No one. I think the Patriots are right now, like, again, where we're sitting 10:15 at night, 2 days before Thanksgiving, the New England Patriots, they are the team to beat in the AFC, but that can change over the course of the next couple of weeks.
There's not really a team that's like separating themselves. Like, I would say New England's the highest team right now. I'm not afraid to say it because I am not a homer. I mean, yes, I hate the team, but I'm not going to deny that they're not playing great football. They are playing great football. Yeah, you can say they're playing the Falcons, but you know what? I'm going to torture myself. We played the Jacksonville Jaguars a couple weeks ago. It wasn't a blowout. It was
9
terrible.
points.
Yeah, it was awful. So it just goes to show you the NFL is a week at a time league. I know this is a hockey podcast, but I'm just being honest with you.
Hey, we go off the rails here so much; it's not even funny anymore.
Like, the defense is playing great. You guys have a great defense, and that Monday Night Football game is going to be huge. That both games we have against each other are going to be huge. That's probably going to decide the division right there, because the Jets, I don't care about them. The Dolphins don't scare me. We already swept them. So it's really, and I'm going to that Monday Night Football game too. And
it's actually be hyped.
I went to the Indy game, and that better be a freaking different result.
Hopefully it doesn't rain on you again, because I felt bad for you. It was like miserable there, let alone it was a blowout. But I mean, it was just miserable just to sit there.
Like, I had a poncho on and everything. I'm like, oh dear God. And it was just so fitting that that's how I felt during the game, just like out of it and cold and just
So before we move on to closing remarks, I didn't get Kevin's tradition. I'm guessing it's football too, but I'm gonna let him take the floor for a second and give his tradition.
No, I'm gonna. I don't know if this is I learned yesterday during a workout class. This is so weird. This is like, I don't know you guys ever watch New Girl? They have the douchebag jar.
Yeah.
This will like fill that with that, but just stick with me. Fill like dollar bills with that. Every time you like your dues, you put a dollar bill in. If you don't know, yeah. So I thought this was like a national thing. Everyone did this. Found out yesterday that's not the case. It might just be Massachusetts. It might just be my alcoholic hometown. My Thanksgiving, like what I really look forward to and I enjoy doing, it's a chain of events, and it gets to a point. First, it starts tomorrow night. Everyone goes out. You go to your local bars in your hometown, whatever it is. You have a few adult beverages and maybe a few too many, but to each his own. The next morning, you wake up, go to the high school football game, hungover, whatever, cold weather, you're kind of out, hot chocolate, whatever it may be. Go back home, food's ready, maybe some appetizers, maybe some rolls. Take a nap, take a little 15, 20-minute nap, kind of cat nap. Wake up and the meal's there. The meal's ready.
I will say down in Southern Maine, where I live, they do have a big football game on Thanksgiving. It's the Portland Deering High School Thanksgiving friendly game. Doesn't mean anything, but obviously it means bragging rights. So yeah, I get where you're coming from.
Yeah, so same thing. Go watch, and my hometown football team stinks, so it's not anything to really watch. Sometimes I bounce around to either the high school I coach at, or my family grew up in the town over from us, so maybe I'll go to there. Like this year, I'm going to that town's game because my little nephew is going to his first high school football game. So I'm going to go there with him and kind of enjoy it with him and my cousin. So anyways, go to that game, come home, the food should be ready, take a little nap, whatever it may be. You wake up and then you watch some football, take another nap after you eat because you're in a food coma and you're just allowed. Got to get hungover for me. I got to be hungover because when I'm hungover, when I wake up in the morning, I don't want to eat. So I end up not eating for a long period of time. And then that dinner comes. Watch your fingers, boys, because it's open season.
Kevin's coming.
Yeah, I feast.
Kevin's hands turn into claws, and you do not want to be there.
Yeah, that's kind of like my tradition. I don't really eat until like dinner time. So that when dinner's out, it's open season. And my parents say it every year, I don't eat a lot in general. Usually, like I don't eat like lunch, breakfast, dinners. Dinner might be my only real meal. But they're like, glad to see you were hungover today. That's their telltale sign that I'm going for thirds. They're like, this kid probably hasn't eaten in 24 hours. Makes sense.
I love it. Let's leave it at that. I want to get to closing remarks really, really quick. So Zach, what we do is we're just going to give our hot takes, and you can give your hot takes for the Sabres for the upcoming week. I know they play the Bruins obviously on Wednesday. I don't know the rest of their schedule, but whatever the rest of their schedule is until next Tuesday, you can do any hot take you want on that aspect. As for the Bruins, obviously they're at the Sabres tomorrow, and then they have a Black Friday game at home against the Rangers, and then they play the Knuckleheads on Sunday at home. So Zach, since you're our guest today and Jamie could not return due to Wi-Fi connection issues, I'm going to let you take the floor and give me your hot take for this weekend.
So I do think we're going to lose tomorrow night against you guys. You guys are just the better team, obviously, and it's hard beating the Bruins when you're in a position where the Sabres are. But I have a bold prediction here. I do think they have 5 games coming up here. And so they play you guys, and then Black Friday to Montreal, and then Detroit, Seattle, Florida, and Carolina. I say they win 3 of those games of the next 5 because you look at their schedule. Okay, we beat Montreal already. We could do that. We could beat Detroit too, despite blowing a 3-1 lead, which I will not talk about. And then you had the Seattle Kraken, who are not so well. But then you're going to see old friend Sam Reinhart and the Panthers, who are a great hockey team. And then on top of that, as we record right now, you are facing the 14-2-1 Carolina Hurricanes. So, yeah, you better get winning these. If you can find a way to squeak, I will be happy with I know we're not the ones to celebrate moral victories, but if you can get a point out tomorrow night against a good Bruins team, I'll be happy with that. And then win the next 3. And it's a freaking miracle if they get a point or 2 out of one of those Carolina Florida games. I will literally run down my street celebrating, blasting weird champions if we do that.
I will expect a video of that we will then post on our Twitter page. Now, you just said that, and
I'm screwed.
Yeah. So Kevin, going up to you next. What is your hot take for the Bruins this weekend?
You guys aren't gonna like this.
They're gonna lose all three, aren't they?
For the weekend, no.
Oh, okay.
No.
Oh,
But they're gonna Buffalo is gonna be a tough game.
Yeah.
That's my take. They win, but what they really should do is what Calgary did to us. It should be like a 4-0 game. We kind of put them away early.
Yep.
I think we beat Buffalo 3-2, 4-2. Keep in mind like an empty net goal. So really realistically 3-2.
Yeah.
If Aaron the All-Star, congratulations on an easy W.
I think we go 1-3. Man.
Okay, there it is. I hate the
think we
pause
go
that you
1
just
and 2.
gave.
I think we go 1-2 because don't sleep on the Rangers, dude. They're tough.
God, no.
They're a tough team. You know, they battle. I think that's a game you kind of look at, and you have two options. And Cassidy kind of needs to have this in the back of his mind. If they don't put them away, like if they don't step on their throats early in the first, second period, it's going to be a bloodbath. It's going to be down to the wire. And if it comes down to the wire, I think New York wins that game. They've had some games of late where they've battled back and they've gone into OT shootouts and they've won.
Just don't let them score 0.4 seconds to go in third period. Just
right. So, they've battled, and I think that's what the Bruins haven't really been tested too late. And I think that's where the Rangers will have the advantage. Vancouver Canucks are the ones that are going to make me swallow my words, because that's another game where it's like, dude, if you lose the Canucks, I'm jumping off the Zakem, and there's nothing we're doing about that. So, another game we should win.
The Knuckleheads.
But I don't know. My gut is saying that Vancouver game goes south.
If you beat them, they'll probably riot in the city like they did in 2011. So just be ready for that.
Oh boy. I will love that every second of that. So we're gonna close it out with the great gold jacket down below. Not Hall of Fame jacket, but a gold jacket.
It's gonna be Hall of Fame jacket.
He's giving me the stinky eye.
And if you're watching.
He's like, I'm going to rip this kid a new one real quick.
If you're listening on the podcast right now and not watching on YouTube, Chris is wearing a backwards hat and a gold jacket, ready to roast Kevin to end the show. So I'm going to leave it to him here to close out the show before I give my final closing remarks. Go ahead, Chris.
Bruins defense is going to be the key over the next 3 games. And the Bruins defense, again, we've commented on this quite a bit. They have struggled, right? So I think the Bruins defense is going to come up strong. I feel like the Bruins are going to take at least 2 of these games. I think they're going to beat Buffalo. I think they're going to beat Vancouver. And if they were to lose to New York, I think it's one of those like overtime games where they're going to still get a point out of that game, but they're going to lose. They could lose that game. But those 3 teams don't, in the grand scheme of things, scare me. So, if you were to say to me in any combination of those games that the Bruins would go to overtime and lose, and then they win the next 2, I wouldn't be shocked either. So I think the Bruins are going to come out of this next 3 games with at least 2 Ws. I would expect the defense to play better. We need Charlie McAvoy to play better than what he did in the last game. I'd like to see Mike Riley actually make a difference for the New England Patriots. Where the fuck did that come from? Jesus Christ. For the Boston Bruins. I like to see Mike Riley actually make an impact for the Bruins, because he really has been despite, a couple of games back, the goal or whatever, but he has been a non-factor. A lot of these guys in defense have been a non-factor. And I think the defense is going to be the key of the next 3 games. So I think the Bruins win at least 2 of the next 3, and then we reconvene next week after being completely full from a nice Thanksgiving dinner, having our sides. By the way, I mentioned this in our text. The yams with the marshmallows, get out of here. That needs to go. If you have that, I'm not sure if that's like a thing down here where I'm at.
It's not a thing up here in Maine, that's for sure.
I don't want Chris to get off topic here.
Please.
This dude was stink-eyeing me through my entire take.
I think
And
it's
he just immediately goes and just like follows up with what I just said. How is that any different than what I just said?
He's buzzed. What do you want to? What do you want him to do?
So am I, but where are we differing here?
I think one, I had 4 gin and tonics, Hendrick's and tonic, Hendrick's gin.
You can't even say it.
Joe. I've had a high noon, and I'm also having a Corona.
My dude's double fisting right now. That's where he's at.
He's got a beer. He got a gold jacket on. And this man's like Hollywood.
My dude's
ready to go.
straight swagger right now.
I thought this dude was gonna be like, Kev, we're going like 3-0. It's gonna be like 4-0 game. It's all no. He just took what I said.
By Homer, like I'm not gonna say 3-0. Like that is such a Homer thing. I'm gonna say at least I got Cape Cod chips too. Cape Cod, by the way. I'm gonna say at least they're gonna win 2 of these next 3 games.
And the Rangers don't scare you unless we go to OT, which is a battle game.
Or 0.4 seconds to go in for a period.
I think Vancouver is. I guess when I think of Vancouver, I think of when the Bruins won the Stanley Cup. I think of like that team, and they were just a bunch of pussies.
Yeah, they're soft.
That's what I think about. Exactly, 100% soft. So I guess that's what I kind of equate Vancouver to be at. So I'm not ultimately scared with them. I think the Rangers, it's more of you have that New York mystique. You know, I think sometimes you play, Boston, New York, you get yourself amped up for that matchup. And I think that there's an opportunity where New York can steal one because they're going to get amped up for playing Boston and whatever. So I think the Bruins need to win the next at least 2 of 3 games. If not, and if they don't, and they do the opposite, and they win one of the 3 of these games. Now we're going to be, we're approaching December. I think we talked about in a few podcasts back. It was around December when we were going to be able to truly evaluate what this team is. If they drop, 2 of the next 3 games based off how they're playing, I think we might have painted the picture who the actual Boston Bruins are.
I do have another hot take for this, just to end this up.
Yeah, go right ahead.
I do still think we're gonna lose tomorrow, but I still think they're gonna put up a good fight against the Bruins. I just have a feeling that they will, because if they can hang in there with the Edmonton Oilers and they can hang in there with the Bruins. Now, that's not a shot at the Bruins. They're still a good team, I believe. But what I've seen this team do, and despite getting shut out by you guys earlier this year, they still put up a good fight. Like, they were getting their chances. They're just getting so many unlucky bounces going their way. So I do think it's going to be a hard-fought game from the Sabres. Like I said, I do still think we lose, but as long as they're showing some heart, I'm happy with that.
Well, Zach, thank you for coming on today and a little last minute, but we loved having you talking about the Sabres. We don't get that much, and cheers to with a chip and a can of beer over here.
Gold jacket over here.
A gold jacket down below. I'm happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Hope you guys have a great holiday. Enjoy your time with the family. Enjoy your football. Enjoy your fun. Enjoy your food. Enjoy whatever you want to enjoy. Just enjoy the holiday, because we got another one coming around the corner, guys. We're almost a month away from our next holiday, and I know it's everyone's favorite holiday, maybe except Chris's. I'm not sure what. We'll get that take on another episode, though.
Christmas?
Yes.
Or Cyber Monday.
Oh, no, Cyber Monday.
What
That's
the?
that ain't a holiday.
Cyber Monday.
This is buzz right now, man.
I mean, maybe it's a holiday. I don't see it as a holiday. I'm talking about major holiday. Anyway, that being said,
Christmas kicks off my vacation, so it can be whatever we want to do. You want to do an early show on the week after Christmas?
Okay. Well, I'll remember that. You might have to text me just to remind me, but I probably won't remember that. It's too far away to remember right now. But like I said, enjoy your holiday. Enjoy your time with your families and friends. Zach, thank you. I am Jeff Hogue. I am Jeff Hogue. That's Kevin Perdios, and that's Chris Henrique. And this has been a shorthanded takes, a Boston Bruins podcast brought to you by.
Thanks to Jamie, who just randomly disappeared.
Yeah, no, he really just
He pulled Avante Davis and was halfway through the show and headed out.
Jamie just pulled
Like
the
Irish goodbye,
ultimate.
didn't say anything to anybody. Just like, look at him done.
So yeah,
My man
Jamie
just
pulled the
disappeared.
ultimate Irish goodbye, and he was just like, "Yeah, I'm all right with this." So
He's
yeah.
that one family member. I said this is like a Thanksgiving dinner. He's that one family member that just leaves in the middle of Thanksgiving dinner. No one sees him leave. And we just don't mention it again until the end of the day when, just boom, poof.
It's the way to do it,
The
man.
table just leaves.
That's the way to do it.
Well, like I said, happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Have a great night. Have a great week. Go Bruins and go Sabres down below there for
and go
my
Bills.
friend Zach.